This mindset I'm about to share with you is literally transforming how I live, how I show up for others, and how I show up for myself. I recently attended a summit this weekend, and if you have ever attended a conference and you probably are around your favorite people and you're getting all of these beautiful lessons, you're almost operating in your best sense of self, where your energy is high, your mood is always good, and nothing can really throw you off. And the way you interact with others is a lot different too. You're more interactive. You're looking them in the eye. You're saying hi to whoever passes you. You're locked in per se. And someone at the conference was saying like, I love meeting you guys and this is great. Like I love how generally speaking, everybody is so welcoming, is so warm. The energy is high and everybody's willing to learn and grow together as a community. And he's like, that's beautiful. But at times it can be easy to be at these conferences and reach this high of just operating as a person and who you are, being your best self. But then once you leave and go back home, the dip happens and you are no longer in this high, in this sense of winning and crushing it. And then motivation goes away. It's things like that. It can be similar to like maybe you're up at night at 1 a.m. and you're binging YouTube videos and getting motivated for the next day. And then the next day comes and then the crash happens and you're no longer as motivated anymore. But at the conference, he was like, I love that everybody is willing to grow and is excited and is bringing the energy into every interaction they have. But I challenge you that when you go back home and leave today, take the summit with you. Bring who you are at the summit to your everyday life. Be who you are at the summit in your community. And that was something that has, I would say, haunted me, but in the best way possible, because I've had many times where I go to conferences and it's great, it's fun, I'm locked in, I'm leveling up, right? But then when I go back home, it's all just, it's gone. It's almost like I forget, I have amnesia, and I'm no longer who I was at the conference. I wasn't getting up early. I wasn't as interactive with people and welcoming and warm and loving and kind. And I slowly start to become someone who's just not who that person at the summit was. Some days you look back, you're like, man, I don't even believe who that guy was. Like, I don't even recognize him. That's how I think about sometimes, where I'm like, man, if I can live the way that David lived back then, like my life would look a lot differently. And so I'm reminded of a video I saw recently where there's a guy speaking to a crowd and he's like, all right, I want everybody to raise up their right hand. And then he's like, okay, now I want you to raise it a little bit higher. And then everybody raises it a little bit higher. And he's like, all right, put your hands down. Why didn't you give 100% the first time? Obviously the whole crowd was shocked in terms of like what he was trying to say. And it can seem a little corny, but I think that is a solid reframe for us of like, what would it look like if we gave our all the first time, or just in our lives? What would it look like if we brought the person we were or could be when we're feeling at our best? What if we lived that every day? What if we tried to put in the effort to live that every day, in who we interact with and how we live, in our habits? Like, I just think oftentimes, a lot of the times, we tend to maybe unintentionally hold back and forget to ask ourselves the question of,
all right, I'm back. But a question I like to ask myself, something I heard from an old philosopher, was, how long will you wait to demand the best of yourself? And I think that just touches to effort, and we live a certain way, but there's a potential in us that can level up even higher, where it's like, what would life look like if we gave full effort? In your relationships, like what would it look like if you gave full effort? How would you start to treat people? How would your conversations look like if you gave full effort in your fitness, in your body? Like, what would you be eating? How often would you go to the gym? Would you be sleeping in anymore? Like, if you gave full effort in your finances, how much harder would you be working? What things would you stop buying? How would your budget look like if you took your faith seriously and put full effort in that? What would that look like? How often would you spend time in gratitude? How often would you take time to slow down and not worry as much, but just appreciate the moment for what it is? How often would you, or how less often would you be worrying, and how more often would you be praying? Something that also stuck with me from the conference is like, a lot of this stuff we don't necessarily need to learn. Like, there's not much there's not much new we need to learn. It's more so just being reminded. And if we use these reminders as constant, I guess, refuels to what we know, what we already know, and we act on these lessons that we already know and we use them to level up towards that person that we want to become, it's almost night and day. And so I challenge like anybody, if you're still listening, like if you're, whether it's a conference or a YouTube video like this, what would life look like if we took these lessons with us? Last thing I'll say is something that's coming up for me was one time my coach, or one of my coaches, was talking to me because we had a challenge that we were doing. He was running the whole community through, and I kept getting reset. And one thing he posed to me was like, it still, again, haunts me to this day, but it's a good kind of haunting. He asked me, like, if your marriage or if your future marriage depended on you finishing out this challenge with no more resets, would you fail? And my answer was quickly and easily no. And if I transition that to life, like, if my answer can be the quick as that, what's stopping me from quickly and simply changing my life in that sense? What's stopping me from quickly and simply changing my mindset and the way I move? Like, would I choose to sleep in anymore? Would I choose to skip the gym? Would I choose to, I don't know, ignore my budget? Would I choose to live my life in this mediocre way? And for me, I think the answer is no. Like, I wouldn't. It wouldn't be the same. That's something that's just constantly replaying in my head. Like, if whatever you value depended on this, would you fail? It's like, no. And so when we're thinking about who we could become, let's bring that person to now. Let's take that person with us to our daily lives. Let's step into that greatness right now. I think it's possible. I think we know it's possible. There's a lot of things we know. It's just a matter of acting on them and bringing them into your daily life. And there may be obstacles along the road, but just be wise, step around them, keep moving, and little by little, the person you can become, the magic you're looking for, will begin to happen over time. Also, speaking of the challenge that I was talking about, no, I'm not going to sell you on it. Well, it's nothing to sell, it's free, but I will say, just to give some ideas in terms of, okay, if I want to find ways to level up, what are some ways I can do that? And part of the challenge, there's 5 points. First point is for faith, and that is 5 minutes of gratitude a day. Second one is relationships. For us, it would be a community post, posting like your takeaways in the community. But for you, it can be sending a text to somebody, reaching out. I don't know, call your mom. It's been a while. I'm not much of a caller. I'm more so of a texter, so maybe you can text. I don't know. 3 would be for your fitness, and that would be like 20 minutes of exercise or stretching. So that would be that. And then for finances, it would be following your budget. So whatever one, if you don't have a budget, make one, and then making sure all of your purchases are staying within that budget. One thing I also add is just checking your bank account every day. I think that's important. What else? I said 5. What's the 5th point? Okay, I cheated and looked at my notes, but it was journaling. So going into, I don't personally like writing with pen and paper because I feel like it just takes up space. So I just write in my Apple Notes. But yeah, journaling, going over your day. What went well? What could have been better? And then what will you do to be better the next day? Those are like something to start with. But yeah, that would be the 5th point in terms of like what you can do to level up in your life. But yeah, so journaling, gratitude, exercise, community posts, aka texting somebody, and then following your budget. I think those are 5 simple steps you can take to start leveling up in your life. But yeah, take that with you and don't overcomplicate it. It's not easy, but it is simple.